This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the podcast. I'm your host, Erica Lance. I want to say, please do not forget to like and subscribe. You're holding your phone right now, or your tablet, or you're listening on a computer. You're right in front of it. Hit like and subscribe. That's how we know you love us. Also, don't forget to leave a review if you want to drink along with us, and leave a review at the end when you're drunk. That's even better. If you would like to be on the podcast, you can email us at drinkingwithauthors@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Or if you have an author you'd like us to have on here, you can email us as well. We'll find them and get them on the show. Our sponsor today is Skunk Brothers Spirits, coupon code DWA10. And they are amazing. My co-host today is the brilliant Danielle Orsino. Woo! Woo! And our guest today is Sascha Vennemann. Woo! And we're very lucky because he's coming to us from Germany. Welcome, Sascha.
That's right. Well, yeah, thank you.
Yes,
I'm very excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. Let's talk about what we're drinking so people can drink along. In some old DWA swag, because we have new cups, and you'll get one of these, Sascha, for being on the podcast. I have, because it's afternoon here, evening in Germany, I have gin and tonic with pomegranate and lime. This is my new fancy drink.
Ooh,
I'm fancy
great.
in my plastic cup. Fancy drink. Okay, Danielle, what have you got today?
I'm boring again. I've got my Barefoot Moscato. I'm getting rid of the last of the watermelon for summer. And I've got it in my fancy goblet, my unicorn goblet. Yeah, Barefoot, just sponsor us. Just really, you're fighting it. Just come sponsor us.
They should sponsor us. Truly,
they really should.
Sascha, what are you drinking?
I'll start with a cider. Cider is one of my favorite drinks, and it says it's a Sheppies Debinet apple cider. I haven't had one of these before, but I'm a big cider fan, so I'm gonna pour it now, and I'll let you know if it's tasty.
Well, let us know if it's Drinking with Authors approved. So, Sascha, for those people out there that maybe are not familiar with you, what do you write?
I'm a writer of mostly sci-fi, fantasy, and horror novels. Mostly kind of mixed genres things.
That's very cool. And you write, just for the audience, you write mainly in German, but you've had some of your novels have been translated into English.
Yes, just since this year, I'm writing for several, or I have been writing for several German series, novel series. We'll get to that later. It's a special kind of format. It's like pulp novels and short novels, and I've been doing these a lot. And I think it's an American-based publisher who has been translating a few of these novels. Two have been published lately as the start of the series in the English translation.
That is really cool. So when did you begin your writing journey? When did you start all of your writing?
Well, my first stories, I think I wrote them in school. It was short stories mainly, or poems. Or I've been in bands all of my life, so I've been writing lyrics for the bands. And
what kind of bands were you in? What kind of music?
Rock music, alternative bands. Yeah,
I love it. Alternative.
Like American high school punk and stuff like that, or just the obligatory grunge band you had in the 90s.
Oh, hey, you know what?
Nirvana.
I was gonna say I love the obligatory grunge bands in the 90s. Like, they were awesome. They were like, hi, here's real music that doesn't involve big hair. So I wore a lot of flannel back then. So it was suddenly like I was wearing flannel, and then all of a sudden they came out and it was cool to wear flannel. And I was like, look at me ahead of my
You're
time.
already there.
Yeah.
It's too cozy today.
Yeah, so true. So you started writing. When did you publish your first stories?
the first novel I published professionally has that was in 2008, I think. Was part of a sci-fi series for the publisher I've been working before. I've been working as a freelance editor for the company, for the publisher, and yeah, they invited me to write to be part of the team, of the writing team of the series, and that was my first publication.
That's very cool. So you were editing before you were writing?
Yes, it was. I was studying, and in Germany we have to do some practical things while studying, and I was supposed to work at an editor. I was studying sociology, and so I chose yeah, the publishing company that I've been reading the stuff of, and they integrated me into the team there, and I must have convinced them a little bit, because after that they offered me a job as a freelance editor, and I've been doing. I did that for about one and a half year, and after that they asked me to write my first novel for them.
That's really cool.
Wow.
Do you still do editing?
A little bit. It's a kind of my day-to-day job. I'm a journalist for a local newspaper, so I do a lot of editing of my own text, of my text of my colleagues, but mostly for, yeah, newspaper articles.
Wow. Okay, we have so many layers to unpack. So
Yeah.
you're because
I'm
writing.
just plugging.
No, I love this, because I actually I had a column many years ago in a local little paper that I wrote, and it was interesting trying to write like there's such a big difference in. I'm going to get there, I promise. Gin, I put way more gin than tonic in my gin and tonic. We're fine.
Gin and juice.
I was like, so writing short stories, writing novels, writing songs, writing news, like all of this is very, very different. It's a different style. It's different ways of telling a story.
Mhm.
So did you started with stories in school, but how did that transition? Let me first ask to songs, because songs, you're telling a story. Sometimes it's a very confusing story for those of us listening to it, but the person who wrote the song is telling a story. How is that different? Because you don't have a lot of words to play with to tell the story.
Yeah, that's yeah. I started with poems. I just all my life I was in love with language and to play with words, and that's why I experimented with rhyming, and lyrics always had a little tone of rhyming to it. And well, our singer wasn't able to write to write lyrics in English. I wrote them in English most, and
Oh, interesting. That's
so
interesting.
That's
I
very interesting.
Yeah.
I just tried to make things rhyme and tell a little story. And yeah, well, I wasn't the singer, so he told me this song, or the songwriter, he just told me this song is about, or has to be about this particular kind of feeling or theme, and he threw some words at me, and I just made them work in lyrics.
I think that's
Was there a theme you liked? I'm sorry, Eric. Was there a theme that you like? Were you did you like love songs? Did you like more songs about heartbreak? What was the theme you were drawn to?
Yeah, I like kind of melancholic lyrics. No, I was a teenager at that time, or in my early 20s, so that was kind of mostly the feeling most of us experienced at that time, and I thought that would fit.
I love saying that.
Okay.
Teenagers have all of the emotions, a lot of them all at the same time, and and they're very peak. Like we can level out our emotions. I notice as adults we can increase or decrease our emotions. Not everybody, but generally we can get more excited about something or whatever, or go, I'm upset about that, but I can handle it. But when you're a teenager, man, that volume button is like jammed in, and it's
you're at top and you're just there. It's like 0 to 100 all the time.
Yeah,
most people say they are glad that this time is over, but sometimes I miss it. You don't have a filter for your emotions, and they are so intense. If you get older and more adult, this is all a little bit more dull. But I like the intensity of the emotions looking back now.
Oh, I think so. I think being most people say I'm like a 14-year-old boy most of the time anyway, but
Yeah.
that might be my humor. I think that, we have to always maintain that spirit of playfulness that we had when we were younger and the passion to do things we had before everybody told us you couldn't do those things, right? Like, if you go into an adult, people are telling you have to follow these rules and do these things. And if you're smart, you go, no, screw you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's fascinating because writing songs, people don't realize, is actually really difficult. As much as, there are a million songs out there, it's not necessarily easy to write a good song, especially one that has a good hook that people like and then want to sing along to, or they go, oh my God, this is how I'm feeling right now, is this song.
You captured it.
Yeah. And for me, the lyrics have to support the song and the feeling of the song, the emotions that the music brings out. And if I can support that with any lyrics, even if they don't make any sense, just words in a row that evoke a special feeling, that's what I aim for.
That is awesome. Okay, so then you're writing poetry, you're writing songs, and you write a novel. What is your first novel about?
The first novel was part of a sci-fi series, and it was about a female spy infiltrating enemy starbase. If I remember that correctly, it's been a while, and I've never read it.
As authors, we're supposed to remember every single word we ever wrote so that people can quote them back to us.
Yeah. I have something like word bulimia. If they get out of my fingers, they are out of my brain.
It's a pump and dump.
Yeah,
you're just done making room for more.
That's it.
I love that.
That's all the time with my novels. If I read them again, maybe a month or a year later, I don't remember that I've written that thing. It's just that I remember, some kind of the story or elements of the story or the characters that I've worked with, but the exact words or I'm not familiar with them anymore. So this is out of the mind. It's gone. The story is told, and then it's vanished.
Wow. Well, now I'm going to jump. So what about fans coming up to you, people who've read your stuff? Have you gone and met people in person that have read your books?
Yes, there are some conventions in Germany for these pulp novels, for the series I'm writing for, and these are about, well, every 2 years or once a year. And they come along, they have a chat, they want some signatures on and stuff like that. Yeah, so we're talking, and we are also connected via the internet. They are writing messages via email or Facebook or social media. They do that kind of stuff, or I get sent stuff, my own novels to signature to sign them. Stuff like that is happening.
But it's got to be interesting if you don't remember everything. Have people come up and talked about parts of your book and been like, my favorite character is blah, and talk about it with you, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Mostly they're not side characters but main characters for the series, so I'm familiar with them, but I don't remember every side character I've created for any of the novels. Some I remember, some I don't. So, but that hasn't happened before.
Oh, just wait, my friend.
Oh, it'll happen.
It will happen. We talk about it a lot on this show. It's the elusive. We call it the plot point character, some little character you threw in to move the story along because somebody's favorite character, and that's the best thing in the world. Relates. I call him Bob, and somebody's going to bring up Bob, and you're going to have no idea what they're talking about, but you have to go, oh yeah, no, I love that too, because you can't go, what? Because, fans don't want you to not know every word of your book. So what kind of stuff did you read? Did you read a lot of sci-fi and fantasy and horror?
Yes, I've been always up to into that since my little childhood. I started with fairy tales when I was little. My mother read them to me, and they have some You have read the Grimm
Oh,
fairy
we've
tales.
read the
real
real
ones.
fairy tales versus the Disney fairy tales.
Yes,
We're
yes,
used to
yes.
the
So,
difference between
so
them.
all the cruel details that has been put into them, and
Yeah.
well, that was
Mhm.
always something that fascinated me, and this is where my love for horror novels came from, and I think I got into sci-fi because of my father. Who was a big sci-fi fan. He passed away in 2013, and well, he introduced me to Star Wars and Buck Rogers and all this classic sci-fi stuff.
Yes.
And this brought me into sci-fi. And the first time I saw Star Trek on television, I was totally hooked. And we've been a Trekkie since since day one.
Yep.
And yeah, that's how it came that I went into sci-fi.
Do you so this is interesting talking to somebody who writes in another country, because it's not like English in another country. It's not like, England, where they have different words, but it's a similar language, right? Did you
Yes.
mainly read in German, or did you read in both German and English when you're reading the stories?
I haven't been reading in English until my teenage years, when I was able to read in English because of I learned English then. I've always and do now read in German. Just very few novels or texts that I've read in English. If there's no translation available, then I read in English too. But normally I wait for the translation.
That's
Was Star Trek dubbed? I have to ask. Sorry.
Yes, in Germany everything is dubbed, and it's a very
Okay.
very good dubbed. It's not with different with very fitting voice actors that do the German impression of the actors, and we don't have the original sound or any subtitles. We have them language dubbed. Yes.
I'm just trying to picture Shatner doing Kirk dubbed. It's just, just knowing his
I think we got to
unique
look that
style.
up, actually, Danielle.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like we need to look up
so
Captain Kirk.
intrigued.
Yeah,
I'm so
because
intrigued. That's just that's really, because I was introduced to Star Trek too by my father. Like all my sci-fi stuff, my dad introduced me to that. That's what we
Yeah.
watched at dinner time, was Star Trek. So I was kind of introduced to sci-fi the exact same way. But Star Trek dubbed in German definitely piques my interest.
No, it's good. It's actually very good.
We'll have to check that out. I definitely think so.
Yeah.
My dad introduced me to sci-fi too. I went to the opening of Star Wars at the Chinese Man Theater in California. I was 3 years old, but I do remember the theme playing and the scrolling of the stuff and things like that, which wasn't digitized back then. If you actually watch, there's some behind the scenes movies that show you how that text thing was done, and it was a camera moving across text, and I'm like, back in the day. Okay, so you write your sci-fi novel. How many books have you published?
I think by now it must have been about 50 of these novels.
Wow.
50?
50.
Wow.
No, they are not very big though. So these are just small things.
Doesn't matter.
That one. That is 64 pages, no pictures, just words. And
But
that's
still,
the special.
50 of
That's
them?
still
That's an accomplishment. That's amazing.
Wow.
A lot of words, yes.
No, trust me. You're outdoing me. Danielle's outdoing me. It's finding time to write. But so you've written 50 of them. Have they all been for these different? So explain the pulp thing. Like, explain that.
Okay. Well, that might take a while. I think that's some European or especially German thing, German-speaking countries thing. We have this special format called Heftromane. Heft is like this kind of paperwork, and Romane is novel. So these are just like pulp novel. They are printed on newspaper paper. That's very thin, like pulp novels. And yes, we have them. I think they started more than 100 years ago that they did this in this format. And
are they kind of like the penny dreadfuls, like the little Penny Dreadful?
Yeah,
kind of?
kinda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can picture them as that. And well, they have a long history in Germany, especially after World War II. These were the cheapest available stories that you can get. They were called Groschenromane. Groschen was about like 10 cents, and
Oh, wow.
you paid 10 cents for one of the stories that was printed in this way. And they evolved through the time, and they had their most popular time in the 70s and 80s, when there was no private television, no video games or something like that. If you had to if you wanted a serial story, you had to read or listen to the radio if there were any audiobooks or something like that. And so it evolved into a lot of styles, a lot of series. There were horror novels, there were sci-fi novels, they had some fantasy stuff too. And well, most of these series didn't last long, about maybe 50 or 100 issues. But there are a few that started back in the 60s that still run today, and they are published every week or every 2 weeks. And
Wow.
so there's a big team of authors that's writing these kind of stories with the same characters that evolved through time. Mostly they're like timeless, or they are they are invincible or something like that. And yes, I came to read them when I dropped out of school, because or when I finished school, and I was studying, and I was looking for something interesting and cheap to read, and I got into the world of these pulp novels. That's how I I went into the world of that stuff.
That
Now
is
this is a
awesome.
special format. I don't think they have that anywhere in England or in America. And they were quite famous. I think comic books in America are even more pop culture than the Heftromane were in Germany in the 70s, 80s. But they were very well known. And the numbers of publishers and of series have declined over the years, especially since the 2000s. And there are just a few left, but they are still running today.
I think that's totally fascinating because first of all, that's neat. No, we don't have anything to my knowledge like that. We do
I guess
have,
comic books would be the
Yeah.
closest thing, but
but it's
without
picture
art.
and not,
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think.
yeah, no, but that is really, really neat. So you've written over 50 of these. So, okay, wait, we have to take a quick break and then we're going to be back because I just thought of like 5 questions right off the start. So
Yeah.
we will be right back. You're drinking with authors.
Sample locally sourced, quality distilled spirits in the beautiful Columbia River Gorge. At Skunk Brothers Distillery, we're family owned, brewing small batch grain to bottle spirits, just like our grandfather did back in the Prohibition era. From handcrafted bourbons and moonshine to flavored blends and cordials infused with local fruit. Join us for a tasting tour and buy Skunk Brothers spirits straight from the source.
It's all in the family at Skunk Brothers Spirits, located in Stevenson, Washington.
Okay, we're back with my questions that I can remember to ask. So these worlds that are created and these characters, is there like a central information place so that when you're writing these, you don't like break the world that you're writing in, or how does that work?
Yes, normally there's a central editor that edits all of the novels, and he has the oversight. He's like the supervisor of the author's team. And yeah, he hands out some like sheets with characters, with the characterization of the main characters, and the story so far, if you haven't read them, because no one, let's be honest, reads all of the novels of a series that lasts for about 500, 600 issues, as Maddrax is the main series I'm writing for. And yeah, we get like the exposés, and yeah, he's a supervisor, and the editor, and yeah, we all write together with these characters because we know them so well. Most of the authors have been fans and readers before, so and they evolved into being authors because they now know the universe so good and so well.
That is really cool. What about your outside of these ones? Have you written any novels yourself?
Yes, I've done my own series, a limited series. It was about 6 issues, called Eon, and yeah, that was yeah, some kind of mixture too. It's been published in a print version, but it's mostly an ebook series, 6 novels.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And is
And this
that
is
sci-fi?
yeah, that's more like adventure novels. It's got some sci-fi and some fantasy elements in it, but it's mostly like I was trying to do a mixture of well, Stargate and Indiana Jones, something like that.
Oh, cool.
I love it. I love it. That is awesome. And
It's also
so
a family story.
well, that's cool. When you gotta bring the family in. What about you said 2 were translated into English. Which 2 are translated into English?
These that they've been published by the J Novel Club, and here they were translated. Well, that's yeah, I have to tell you more about Maddrax. The
Okay,
series.
go for it.
It's this series. It's called Maddrax. Maddrax is the short form of the name Matthew Drax. Matthew Drax is a former U.S. Air Force pilot who has been thrown into the future. There's been an impact of an what's it called? Not comet.
Asteroid?
Asteroid on Earth in 2012. He's a witness of this impact in his jet, and he crashes with his jet, and he wakes up 500 years later in a post-apocalyptic world. He finds out it's the Earth 500 years later. It's been thrown back to barbaric times, and there are mutations, and there are some other things he can't explain, and well, he dives into the mystery what has happened in the 500 years that he skipped during the impact of the asteroid. And this series started in 2000 and has been published every 2 weeks. So we are heading for issue number 600 in a few weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
And I've been reading that from start. It just started when I came to notice them. I started with the first issues, and have been reading them, and have been a fan. Did reviews and stuff like that, and eventually I was able to write my first novel in the series. That was about issue 250, if I remember, and I had the honor to write the 500th issue of this series.
Wow.
Awesome.
And this was some kind of restart of the series. We always do like story arcs for 25 or 50 issues, maybe 100 issues, and then we'll have a break and start another big storyline that's going on in the background.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was a breaking point, and I did the first 2 novels, 500 and issue 501 was a 2-part novel, and the publisher, the English publisher, J Novel Club, decided to start with these issues because the back catalog wasn't available for translation. Back then, when they started the first issues, they didn't do the contracts right, so the rights have been going back to the authors, and so they decided to take this point to start. So we have a story so far block at the start, so you know what the story is about, and but this was the perfect way to start and to introduce it to the English readers. And these 2 novels, the starting point of this story arc that has started then with issue 500, this is available in English now.
Wow.
So
That's
going
pretty cool.
forward from 500, it's in English too?
The 2, I think they've translated the first 20 or something issues now.
So why
it's gotta
I
be
have to
long.
ask this. This is a German-based story. Why is there a US fighter pilot at the what? How did that happen? There's got to be a
Because
story behind that.
Broad appeal.
because Americans are always cooler than Germans.
I don't know if that's always true.
No, it was in the 80s when everything from what came from the States was cool, and this continued till the early 2000s. And well, this was not because of the we had in mind some international reader, but yeah, the German, if you do German characters, this always have some kind of, well, dulliness to it, if I might say that. And so they decided to do it with American based characters mostly. But we've had German characters too on that series. We had English characters from all over the world, because yeah, if you have a post-apocalyptic world to explore, you do that, and you do it with all that you can in all continents and stuff like that. So we have been traveling around the planet, even into space, and that's how the story evolved over the 500, now 600 novels.
Wow, that is a lot. So how many words? Because I saw it's really small print, like a newspaper when you opened it. How
Yes.
many words are in one of those novels?
I haven't actually checked in words, but we do it with signs. The sign counter, and it's about 180,000 to 200,000 signs, which means like letters,
Yeah.
including space.
I don't do the maths. I'm sure this is quite a bit.
I can. I will look it
I was
up.
like, I'm like, this is a lot to do every 2 weeks and to edit. And I mean, if you just think about the scope of a project like that,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And you mentioned that there's conventions. Do people dress up like these characters? We love cosplay. Around the world, we love cosplay. Me and Danielle love cosplay. So do we dress up as these characters? Have you seen that? Is that what happens at these fan conventions?
I haven't seen it for this Maddrax series, but I've seen it for other series, for other pulp series. There's a series called John Sinclair, which is a horror series. It's about an
Ooh.
English inspector from Scotland Yard who's investigating like spooky stuff, and they have been dressing up like characters from that, and it's very famous.
Very cool. Love that.
Oh wow! 600 episodes and nobody's cosplaying.
Oh,
No.
we got that, Erica. We're gonna have to corner that one.
Yeah,
gotta
no,
show
we're yeah, no, I'm gonna say we need to find out what these characters look like. We'll cosplay them for you. I think
There's
this
plenty of pictures, and you can look up the Maddrax covers. You'll have a lot to look at.
good to
got
know.
that.
We're gonna have to investigate this. This is interesting. So when you were younger and you went to university and stuff like that, did you want to be a writer? Like, what did you want to be when you were younger? I know you did write and you did poems, and of course, probably at some point you're going to be a rock star, because that's like part of the
Kurt
path.
Cobain, you know.
I've been touring with a band, but that wasn't one of my life goals. Yeah, I've always wanted to work with words, and wanted to write for a living, and that's what I worked for, and that's what I'm doing now. Mostly as a journalist for the local newspaper, but also as for my novels. And I've been writing novels as a freelancer and as a main job for many years. And yeah, that's how it went along. So I did what I wanted to do, and yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so now I'm remembering through the gin. I found my way back to where I was going to begin with. Sometimes my gin journey takes us in circles, but let's talk about writing for a newspaper for a minute, because that's completely different storytelling,
It is.
right? And there's all these rules about the facts and what like what you can say and what you can't say, and about whom you can say those things and stuff. What kind of articles do you write?
all kind of stuff. I do political articles. I'm doing like sports report. I'm doing like if there's a fire or there's or something like with the police, a robbery, something like that. Background articles for special themes, or I do biographies, stuff like that. If somebody has a weird hobby, I'm up for it. And everything the editors and the colleagues pass to me, say go there, do that, I'll do that.
Wow, what is your favorite stuff to write about when it comes from a journalistic standpoint?
I like all the stuff when I'm getting to meet people, to get people to get to know them better, and about their life stories. If there's somebody who has had a tough time because he was ill, and got out of that and got help, or there's somebody who has a special hobby, like I don't know, he's carving things out of wood, or he's a photographer, or he's a writer. I like to write about other writers and their inspiration, and their stories, stuff like that. So if I can do some personal stuff with people, that's what I like most.
Do you find it different when you're trying to get in the, like, I'm writing an article versus I'm writing a fiction? Like, what is the difference mentally for you to go through that?
Well, as you said, there's a lot of rules you have to follow when you are writing newspaper articles, and that you also have rules when writing novels. So you have to to stick to the characters, and they have to do stuff that fits the characters. And well, what I was always trying to do is really to wrap up the story with some a good start and a good ending, maybe something that refers to each other. So if you start at one point, telling it in a newspaper article, you say you're at the home of the people I'm interviewing, and I've noticed something special there, like a special, well, a painting on the wall, and that's the first thing I tell the reader. And after the interview, I go back to that, because maybe on the way out of the house, I passed that painting again, and it made me think, like, I thought of it when I was first there. Has it changed somehow my perspective of what have I experienced in the middle of it? And this is something I like to do with my novels as well. Starting point and wrapping it up, going back to the start to see what has changed for the story, or for the character. Yes, a callback. And that's what I do in both forms. But yeah, as you say, this form much more formalized in the newspaper articles.
Where do you get the, I know you're going to write these things because of the nature of this method of writing for the fiction, but where do you feel like you get a lot of your inspiration from stories from? Like,
the newspaper or the novel?
No, the newspaper, they tell you the articles to go write stuff. I know how that works. But I meant, like, even though you're writing in a world that's created, there's still a lot you have to create and build upon in that world. So where do you get your inspiration for all the sci-fi, the horror? I mean, 50 different things. That's 50 different stories you told. Like, that's even if they're short stories, that's a lot of stories. Like, some people aren't good at writing short stories, which I always think is hysterical to me, but it's true. Sometimes you can't get an author to keep their word count down, right? But still, telling a story in a short amount of time, where do you get the inspiration? I'm 50 of them. That's like a lot. Okay, I'm going to keep saying that, but I'm going to let you answer now and take a drink.
Yeah, well, that it comes from all directions. I like to travel a lot and meet new people, and they always tell me their stories, and I see new things. I read a lot for the job. I read a lot of stories. I watch TV. I go to the cinema. Well, there's all kind of stuff that inspires me, and mostly it's like the location where the story takes place. Even if I haven't been there and I haven't this correct imagination of what it looks like there. Oh, you always have Google Earth, and
That's true.
and so I've lately been to London for a holiday, and I remember that I've written a novel that takes place in London, and I've never been to that special place where I had the setting. So I went there and I just had a look if it's really fitting what I imagined and what I found out from Google Earth and Google Earth View, and so, luckily it fits quite good. And I've done that a number of times. I've been to Ireland and to Scotland and to places that I've already described in my novels to check if they look like that, like I imagined them. Sometimes, well, it fits good. Sometimes not so good, but that's fiction.
Yeah, no, it's true. Go ahead, Daniel.
Oh, no, I was going to ask if, since you've written as a journalist, do you think just the people you meet, do you ever use them and some of their stories to help inspire any of your stories in sci-fi or in fantasy? Does that help, just those interpersonal dynamics and those interpersonal meetings?
I haven't done that actually, because I think that's the personal story of the people that I was interviewing or talking to. But I think I'll take, if they are interesting people and they have special, well, like tics or something like that, that I remember or that I notice. If it fits into the character I'm writing about, maybe I take that, modify it a little bit, and give it to the character and see what happens. I've done that, yes. So and it makes it more lively. It makes it more like a real person.
Cool.
It's so. What is your goals for being a writer? So you've been writing a part of this particular. What is the name of it again? Because I know I'm going to say it improperly.
The series Heftromane. The format is called Heftromane, pulp novels, and
Pulp
the series
novels.
is pulp novels. Let's call them pulp novels. And
Okay.
the series I'm writing for is Maddrax. Very
cool. So what is your goal though? Because you've written some stuff yourself. Do you want to write bigger novels? What is your, like, this would be awesome if this happened? Like, what is that?
Well, I just, well, that's something every author might tell you, but I'm writing the stuff that I would like to read myself, and I'm the author. The audience that I'm writing for is me mostly. So if I'm excited about what I'm writing, and it turns, and I'm going through it the day after I've written it, and I say, well, that's well, it's me, but if it wasn't me, it would be cool anyway. So if this happens, I'm the luckiest guy. And this is what I want to do. I want to entertain. I want to tell exciting stories with good characters. And if it works out, and the fans tell me most of the time it does, that's great. That's all I want.
So what has the fan interaction been like? You said you've gotten emails, they come up to get signatures. What was it like for you the first time somebody wanted you to sign something?
It was surreal. Well, I was expecting it to happen at some point, but I didn't expected that they sent me their stuff by mail for to sign. It's been always exciting because I come from a fan perspective. I've been a fan before I was an author, and I always enjoyed talking to the authors, to the guys and girls. I admired them because they were telling so great stories, and that I loved. And I want to give that feeling back to the readers now. If they are reading my stuff and they think they want to get in contact and they want to know some things about me or my work, I'm always pleased to answer. And I've been a guest to German podcasts also, telling about my work and how I work. And yeah, I always love that, to do that.
I think it's really fun when you get the fan interaction and the feedback, because when you write, it's so solitary, and you go, did anybody else like this? I kind of liked it. Like, hello, did anybody else? read this. And it's really neat when somebody comes up to you and is like, they are a fan of you versus you being a fan of other people.
Yes.
Have you gotten to meet any authors that you were a really big, excuse me, fan of? Have you gotten to meet them? What was that like after you had people come up to you and they were your fan? What was the difference there?
Well, the biggest encounter in that kind that I had was I met George R.R. Martin when he was in Germany
Wow.
for a book tour. And I was there as a journalist, and well, it was a big room with all the journalists, and he was sitting in front, and we could ask him questions. And I was doing an article for a German horror magazine at that time, and I got to ask him a few questions, and that was impressive. I was asking
cool.
about him, his work, his early works when he went into stuff like with werewolves and vampires and stuff like that, the classical horror stories that he adapted in his novels or in his short stories. And I was asking him about that stuff, not about Game of Thrones or anything that came after that.
I bet he was very happy you were asking him about Game of Thrones. A lot of people forget how much stuff George R.R. Martin, and like he was
X-Files.
He wrote for TV and X-Files and Beauty and the Beast, the TV show. And so like he wrote a ton of stuff. Star Trek, he wrote Star Trek. People don't even remember he wrote Star Trek. Everybody's like Game of Thrones, and I'm like, that's
Night
not
Stalkers.
the only thing
He did a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
he was doing all that stuff well before.
Though that was the biggest encounter. I was lucky enough to see Stephen King when he was in Germany, but I didn't interview him. But I was at one of his readings, or very few readings in Germany, and I also got myself the signed copy.
Very cool.
And of course the authors that I admire that have been writing these series before me. When I started to read them, they were my heroes, and they were German authors, and there were a lot of female authors also not only males. And I met them at the conventions. I was a fan then, and they were talking to me. We had a few drinks afterwards. When I worked for the publishers, the contacts got even closer, and a lot of them became close friends. That's cool. Sometimes I pinch myself if I'm not dreaming that I'm now part of this world, of this team, and of this legacy. That's cool.
That is very cool. Okay, I can't ask a question that's going to get better than what you said. So before we end this episode, I call it shameless self-promotion. How do people find your works and your books, and how do people contact you on social media? How do they do that?
I have social media pages, like on Facebook. You can find me at Sascha Vennemann Author, and on Twitter it's Captain Starbucks, Captain with CPT, and I'm also on Instagram with Sascha Vennemann Author, and I have an own blog. It's in Germany. It's in German. You find it at WordPress. It's cptstarbucks.wordpress.com.
I like that it's Starbucks. I appreciate that reference very much.
I'm a caffeine addict, so this is how it happens.
We all are.
I thought we were going Battlestar Galactica. I was going full nerd on that one. Like,
yes, you were. You nerded us on that one, Erica.
I out-nerded that one. I out-nerded the coffee. Yes. Look at that.
Katie Sackhoff, great stuff.
Exactly. Yes. Sascha, it has been so much fun having you on this podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Yay. Okay, guys, this has been Drinking with Authors. I've been your host, Erica Lance. My amazing co-host is Danielle Orsino.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. The device is in your hands or right in front of you. Do it right now. And now that you've been drinking with us, leave us a review. We want to hear it. Our sponsor has been Skunk Brothers Spirits. DWA10 is the coupon code. Please check them out. And we will see you guys next time.